The sound of the ambulance siren echoed through the rain-soaked streets as Tom raced to the hospital, his hands trembling and chest tightening. "I need to see her," he shouted, pushing through the crowded waiting room. Doctors looked up with heavy eyes, and one whispered, "She didn't make it." Tom's knees buckled, tears streaming down his face as the world collapsed around him. Every memory of laughter and warmth vanished in an instant, replaced by a cold, unbearable void. He clutched his wife's scarf, inhaling her scent one last time, his mind screaming in denial. "No, this isn't real," he whispered, his voice breaking. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled his senses, and the hospital walls seemed to close in. He sank to the floor, heart pounding, gasping for air. Outside, the rain fell harder, each drop mirroring his broken soul. Friends and strangers watched helplessly, but Tom saw only darkness. The love of his life, gone in a heartbeat, leaving him trapped in grief he couldn't escape. Time seemed to stop, each second stretching into an eternity. His wife's laughter, her gentle touch, her smile, gone forever. He clutched the empty space beside him, silent screams lost in the sterile echoes of the hospital. Tom stumbled out of the hospital into the cold, wet night, his body shaking as if he had aged decades in seconds. Memories of laughter with his wife haunted him, every corner of the city reminding him of her absence. He tried to call friends, but no words came out. His mind was a storm of what-ifs and regrets. The world seemed muted, gray, and empty. Each step forward felt heavier, the city lights blurring into a watercolor of despair. He passed the cafe they once loved, a memory stabbing his chest. "Why did it happen?" he whispered to no one. The wind carried the smell of rain and asphalt, blending with the faint scent of her perfume. Tom's hands dug into his pockets, grasping nothing, clutching at the invisible. Alone. The grief was suffocating, every breath a reminder that she was gone. His heart pounded with an unbearable emptiness, and he knew sleep would not come tonight. The city's hum felt cruel, a background to his silent screams, a world moving while he remained frozen. He wandered aimlessly, each familiar street amplifying the void inside. Memories of shared dinners, whispered jokes, and gentle touches pressed against his mind like ghosts. He could almost hear her voice calling his name. A sudden gust of wind carried fallen leaves around his legs, swirling like the chaos inside him. He stopped at the bridge where they once watched sunsets, staring at the water reflecting city lights. The river's cold surface mirrored his fractured heart. Faces passed by, strangers laughing, while he felt invisible. Every laugh was a cruel reminder, every step a torment. He remembered the way she smiled when he made mistakes, her patience, her warmth. He clenched his fists, silent sobs breaking through his resolve. Time was meaningless. Every second stretched, empty. His body felt heavy, weighed down by grief. He wished someone would notice, someone would reach out, but he remained unseen, engulfed in sorrow. The world had changed, and he hadn't. Back in his apartment, silence screamed louder than any siren. Tom stared at the empty side of the bed, tracing the sheets where she had slept. Each corner, each shadow, was a painful reminder. The phone rang, but he couldn't answer. Food lay untouched. Life felt paused. He sank into the couch, memories flooding like a relentless tide. He could almost see her smiling in the kitchen, hear her soft hum. Guilt clawed at his chest. Why hadn't he been there? Regret mixed with sorrow, creating a storm that would not subside. The walls seemed to close in. Pictures on the wall mocked him with frozen joy. He whispered apologies into the dark, knowing they would not be heard. Tears fell silently, pooling on his hands. Time had stopped, life reduced to hollow breaths. The apartment, once home, felt like a mausoleum of memories. Each object, each shadow, reminded him of what he had lost. He pressed his face into the pillow, wishing for warmth that would never return. The next morning, sunlight pierced through blinds, harsh and unforgiving. Tom remained on the couch, staring blankly at the floor. Outside, Life moved on, unaware of the storm inside him. He remembered her laugh, her gentle touch, and the warmth they had shared. Grief was a living thing, coiling in his chest, refusing to let go. He tried to imagine her smiling down on him, trying to find comfort, but even that seemed impossible. Each breath was heavy, each thought a reminder of absence. He wanted to reach for the phone to speak to someone, but the weight held him down. The apartment felt too large, too empty, echoing with memories. He picked up a photograph of them together, tracing her face with trembling fingers. Time moved forward, but he remained trapped in yesterday, a prisoner of loss. Every object, every sound whispered her absence. The world had changed, leaving him in silence, alone with sorrow. He pressed the photograph to his chest, wishing for one more moment, one more word, one more touch. Days blurred into nights as Tom wandered through his apartment, the silence pressing against him. Each object reminded him of her, the smell of coffee, the worn armchair, the empty side of the bed. He tried to focus on work, but his mind replayed the moment she was gone. He opened emails, stared blankly, and shut the laptop without reading. Food remained untouched, and dishes piled up. He remembered the sound of her laughter, echoing through the halls. His body ached from grief and sleepless nights. He wondered if life would ever feel normal again. The city outside moved on, but he felt frozen, trapped in a loop of sorrow. Shadows of memories lingered in every corner. He picked up her scarf, pressing it to his face, inhaling the faint scent of the past. The apartment was a mausoleum of moments, both beautiful and painful. He whispered apologies into the empty room. The phone rang, ignored. Even the walls seemed to mourn with him. One evening, Tom walked to the park where they had shared countless evenings. The air was crisp, the sun sinking behind distant skyscrapers, painting the sky orange and purple. He sat on their bench, staring at the empty space beside him. Leaves rustled with the wind, and he imagined her laughter blending with the breeze. A jogger passed by, oblivious to his despair. Memories assaulted him, picnics, stolen kisses, whispered secrets. The emptiness felt louder than the city. He tried to smile at the thought of her, but the ache remained. Each heartbeat echoed through his chest like a drum of sorrow. He closed his eyes, feeling the wind against his face, wishing for her presence. Time stretched, blending past and present, until he didn't know where one ended and the other began. He felt the world continuing without him, moving forward while he remained stuck. Shadows of trees danced across the bench, mirroring the turmoil in his mind. Back home, Tom stared at old photographs, tracing the lines of her smile with trembling fingers. Each memory was a dagger and a comfort. He opened drawers filled with forgotten mementos, tickets, letters, trinkets. A single melody played from an old speaker, a song they loved, filling the empty apartment. Tears fell silently as he sank onto the floor. His mind replayed moments he wished he had cherished more. The walls seemed to close in, suffocating him. Shadows from the lamp stretched across the room, morphing into the shape of memories. He whispered her name into the darkness, hoping the sound would carry to her. The apartment smelled faintly of her perfume, making grief more tangible. He wished for a miracle, a second chance, a moment frozen in time. But reality remained harsh and unyielding. He curled into himself, seeking comfort that would not come. Every object, every shadow reminded him that she was gone. Weeks passed, and Tom forced himself outside, walking aimlessly through empty streets at night. Neon lights reflected off wet pavement from a recent rain, creating a dreamlike shimmer. He saw couples laughing, friends embracing, and felt a hollow pang. He wondered if he would ever feel that joy again. The cold night air bit at his skin, but he barely noticed. Each step was mechanical, his mind trapped in memories. He stopped at a bridge, staring at the river, letting the water reflect his fractured thoughts. He whispered apologies to no one, letting the wind carry them. His hands dug into pockets, finding nothing but cold. He wished he could rewind time, undo mistakes, hold her hand just once more. The city around him thrummed with life, indifferent to his pain. The night grew deeper, shadows longer, and he realized he had to face the world, even without her. Tom eventually found himself at the riverbank as dawn broke. The sky glowed with pale pinks and blues. He sat on a cold bench, letting the serenity wash over him. Water rippled gently, reflecting the awakening city. For the first time, he didn't feel the suffocating grip of grief. Memories of her lingered, but instead of pain, they brought a quiet warmth. He realized that healing wasn't about forgetting, but carrying her in his heart while moving forward. Birds chirped softly, the breeze felt tender. He closed his eyes, inhaling the crisp morning air. Life was still heavy, but for the first time, he felt a spark of hope. He could survive, and maybe, one day, smile again without guilt. The river continued to flow, and so would he, carrying her memory as a source of strength rather than sorrow. Tom stepped into the bustling city cafe, the smell of roasted coffee beans filling the air. Conversations buzzed around him, strangers' laughter and clinking cups blending into a comforting hum. He chose a corner table and unwrapped a notebook, fingers tracing the edge of the worn leather cover. Memories surfaced, but they felt softer, less sharp. He wrote a few sentences, hesitating, then continued, words flowing like water after a dam broke. The barista smiled as she passed by, unaware of the storm inside him. Outside, the morning sun warmed the sidewalk, illuminating faces and movement. He sipped coffee, noticing the subtle patterns in the foam, feeling present for the first time in months. The city no longer felt indifferent. It hummed with opportunity. He glanced around, seeing stories written in every face, realizing he could start writing his own again. With each page he felt lighter, less tethered to grief, more connected to life. The cafe's warmth seeped into him, a gentle reminder that moments could still be beautiful. In the park later that afternoon, Tom joined a group practicing yoga under the trees. He watched their fluid movements, breathing in rhythm with the rustling leaves. A woman in her early 30s guided the session with calm authority, her voice gentle yet firm. Tom struggled with balance but laughed quietly at his wobbles, a sound he hadn't heard from himself in months. Sunlight filtered through the branches, dappling the grass with golden spots. Children ran in the distance, their laughter echoing in his ears. He realized he had been holding tension in places he didn't know existed. With each stretch, each breath, the weight on his chest lifted slightly. The world felt tactile again, full of texture and motion, inviting him to participate rather than observe. Sweat mingled with relief as he felt alive in a body that had been numbed by grief. This small community, this shared practice, reminded him that connection was still possible. That evening, Tom wandered along the riverside promenade, the city lights shimmering across the water. Couples strolled hand in hand, friends chatted on benches, and a faint scent of flowers drifted from planters along the path. He paused to watch a street musician playing violin, the melody weaving through the night air. A sense of peace settled over him, a quiet recognition that life was still unfolding. He felt an urge to smile, not at memories but at the present moment. The river reflected twinkling lights, and he felt reflected in them, part of something larger. He took out his phone, snapping a photo of the rippling water, wanting to preserve this feeling. The night air was cool, but he didn't shiver. He inhaled deeply, the scent of the city mingling with a newfound sense of calm. Steps echoed softly along the promenade, but they no longer felt lonely. The world was alive, and so was he, ready to take tentative steps into it again. Days later, Tom attended a small art class in a sunlit studio. The smell of paint and clay filled the air. He hesitated at first, staring at a blank canvas, then dipped his brush in vibrant colors. Strokes became bolder as he let intuition guide him, and a soft smile appeared on his face. Others in the room chatted and laughed, sharing techniques and critiques, but he felt no pressure. He realized he had been afraid of creating without her, afraid of mistakes and imperfection. But now, each line, each color, was a declaration of life continuing. He leaned back, examining his work, satisfied with the raw honesty. The studio buzzed with energy, bright windows framing trees swaying outside. Light caught flecks of paint on his hands, glittering like small triumphs. He felt part of a community again, part of a rhythm bigger than his solitude. He knew grief would visit, but it no longer dictated every moment. One bright morning, Tom returned to the cafe where his journey of renewal began. This time he wasn't alone. A friend had joined him, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet moments of understanding. Coffee steamed between them as they spoke freely, and Tom noticed how lightness had returned to his voice. He realized that he no longer carried only absence but possibility. The world felt full of opportunities to connect, create, and move forward. Sunlight poured through the windows, illuminating the table and faces. For the first time in a long time, he felt rooted, capable of joy and gratitude. He could carry memories of love without pain consuming him. Life was imperfect but alive, full of moments waiting to be cherished. And he could step into them, one deliberate, hopeful step at a time. His smile lingered as he took a deep breath, embracing the present, ready for the story ahead. Tom wandered through the crowded market, colors and scents overwhelming his senses. He paused at a stall of fresh flowers, their petals vivid in the morning light. Memories surfaced, bittersweet, but he breathed slowly. He realized joy and grief could coexist. He bought a small bouquet and felt a subtle spark of hope, imagining them in his apartment. The city buzzed around him, yet he felt a quiet inner clarity, a sense that he could navigate life's chaos with newfound resilience. At sunset, Tom climbed a hill overlooking the city. Wind tugged at his jacket as he gazed at the skyline. The fading light painted buildings in amber tones. He reflected on choices, mistakes, and small victories. Sitting on a rock, he watched as lights flickered on in apartments below. He felt simultaneously small and connected. The vastness reminded him that life was bigger than his fears. He exhaled, letting the wind carry away lingering doubts, ready to face the unknown with cautious optimism. In the quiet of his apartment, Tom arranged flowers in a vase, noticing the sunlight dancing through the glass. Each petal reminded him of fleeting beauty. He brewed tea, listening to soft music, letting stillness settle around him. The room felt warm, a sanctuary from uncertainty. He realized he had the power to create small joys. Gratitude washed over him as he allowed himself to sit fully in the moment. Even challenges now felt manageable, softened by mindfulness and intention. He smiled, feeling a sense of equilibrium returning to his life. Walking through the library, Tom paused at a shelf of poetry. He pulled a worn volume, flipping pages slowly, savoring words that resonated. Other readers moved quietly around him, absorbed in their own worlds. He realized literature could anchor him, offer comfort and perspective. He sat at a table by a window, pen in hand, jotting reflections. Each line of ink a small bridge between memory and hope. He left feeling lighter, carrying the essence of wisdom and connection into the fading afternoon light. Tom strolled along a quiet riverside trail, leaves crunching beneath his shoes. Evening mist curled over the water, reflecting muted city lights. A jogger waved, and he smiled in return. Each step felt deliberate, grounded, and freeing. He reflected on how far he had come, navigating grief and rediscovering joy. The cool air filled his lungs, bringing clarity and energy. The world felt alive again, full of textures, scents, and sounds. He paused, closing his eyes, listening, and embraced a sense of peace. Life's uncertainties remained, but he no longer feared them. He felt ready to continue forward. Morning light spilled across the city as Tom entered a community center for a local volunteer event. People of all ages bustled around, arranging food, decorations, and tables. He felt a spark of purpose, recognizing that giving time and attention could heal more than loneliness. He greeted newcomers with genuine warmth, introducing himself, and listening intently to stories of struggle and triumph. Laughter bounced off the walls, mingling with the soft hum of conversations. Every interaction reminded him of connection's power, the value of shared effort. His hands moved quickly, unpacking boxes, arranging chairs, each motion purposeful. He noticed a small child tugging at their parent's coat and smiled, feeling empathy swell in his chest. The sunlight filtered through large windows, illuminating his features, and he felt a quiet pride. Participation grounded him, giving rhythm and meaning to his day. He paused briefly, looking around at the collective effort, and realized that life's greatest richness lay in moments of contribution, kindness, and presence. Later, Tom attended a music workshop outdoors. The late morning sun reflected off instruments, creating soft glimmers. People of all skill levels played together, laughter and rhythm blending seamlessly. He picked up a guitar, hesitating at first, then strumming cautiously. Notes rang out, imperfect but sincere, and he found joy in participation rather than mastery. The melodies intertwined with birdsong, wind rustling leaves, and children's laughter nearby. Every sound seemed part of a larger harmony, reminding him that imperfection could be beautiful. He noticed faces lighting up around him, encouragement exchanged freely. He remembered his own past silences, and the contrast made him appreciate the moment even more. Time seemed to stretch, each beat of music connecting him with others, reminding him that expression was a gift he could share openly. He let his body sway to rhythm, feeling a sense of release and vitality he had not experienced in years. Music had become a bridge to both himself and the world. As twilight approached, Tom joined friends on a rooftop terrace overlooking the city. Lights twinkled below, reflections dancing in glassware and polished metal surfaces. Conversations flowed easily, laughter punctuating stories of small victories and shared challenges. He sipped a drink, savoring the bittersweet tang, feeling entirely present. Memories of loss remained, but they no longer overshadowed life's pleasures. Stars began to peek through the deepening blue, and he realized the night offered as much possibility as the day. With every shared smile, every glance of understanding, he felt rooted in a network of support and affection. The wind carried scents of flowers and evening air. The storm outside intensified as Alex confronted the truth about his past, standing alone in the dimly lit attic filled with dust and forgotten memories. Rain lashed against the windows, and thunder rolled overhead, punctuating his racing thoughts. He picked up a worn photograph, its edges curled, revealing a glimpse of childhood innocence and lost connections. Guilt, regret, and longing surged, yet beneath the weight of those emotions, clarity emerged. He recognized patterns he had repeated, choices he could have altered, and the courage it would take to change moving forward. Each memory sparked questions, self-reflection, and small resolutions. Shadows flickered across the walls as lightning illuminated the room, emphasizing the contrast between darkness and revelation. Alex felt a strange calm settle in him, understanding that confronting the past was not punishment, but the first step toward liberation. He took a deep breath, holding the photograph close, and prepared to face the next chapter with newfound resolve and honesty, aware that true courage meant embracing vulnerability and truth. As dawn approached, Alex emerged from the attic, the storm replaced by a fragile morning light filtering through clouds. The world outside felt renewed, and he carried with him a sense of reconciliation with his past. Steps were hesitant at first, but grew confident as he descended the stairs, leaving shadows and doubts behind. In the soft glow of morning, he noticed details previously ignored: the gentle sway of tree branches, the warmth of sunlight touching the walls, the distant laughter of neighbors. His heart, once heavy with guilt, now embraced hope, forgiveness, and the possibility of growth. Each breath felt deliberate, each movement intentional, as if the universe had aligned for him to witness this quiet transformation. He resolved to reach out to those he had hurt, to rebuild connections, and to live authentically, unafraid of mistakes or vulnerability. With a final glance back at the attic, he stepped into the new day, carrying both lessons and liberation, knowing that confronting the past had paved the path to inner peace and meaningful action. Tom stepped into the local art gallery, walls adorned with vivid paintings and sculptures. Light streamed through large windows, bouncing off polished floors. He paused, absorbing color, texture, and emotion captured in every piece. A young artist approached, introducing herself, sharing stories behind her creations. He listened attentively, noting how struggle and resilience shaped each work. Inspired, Tom traced brushstrokes with his eyes, imagining the hours of focus and care behind them. Each interaction, each detail, felt like a bridge between imagination and reality. He realized that personal growth was not solitary. It thrived in connection and shared experiences. Taking a deep breath, he smiled, sensing a creative spark awakening within him. Art became a language, a vehicle to express feelings he had previously struggled to articulate. He explored further, moving from one exhibit to another, allowing each piece to spark reflection and emotion, feeling more alive and receptive than ever. In the park, Tom joined a community yoga session at sunset. The golden light filtered through trees, casting intricate shadows on the grass. Instructors guided participants, encouraging mindfulness and focus on breath. He felt initial stiffness and awkwardness, but gradually, each stretch became fluid, each inhale purposeful. Around him, people of all ages moved in unison, creating a sense of harmony and collective energy. His mind cleared of worries, each motion connecting him to the present. The gentle breeze carried sounds of rustling leaves and distant laughter, enhancing the meditative atmosphere. He realized that physical movement could mirror emotional growth, releasing tension he didn't know he carried. By the final pose, he felt balanced, centered, and invigorated. The warm glow of the sunset reflected on his face, and he acknowledged the significance of small, consistent efforts in shaping a resilient and fulfilled self. Tom sat at a cafe table, overlooking a quiet street, notebook open in front of him. Steam curled from a freshly poured coffee, blending with the morning chill. He scribbled reflections, thoughts flowing effortlessly. Conversations around him faded into a gentle murmur. Each line he wrote became a mirror of his journey, capturing lessons learned and emotions once buried. Patrons passed by, each absorbed in their own stories, reminding him that life was a mosaic of shared human experience. He paused to watch a child chase pigeons, laughter bright and unrestrained, feeling gratitude for simple moments. As sunlight illuminated his page, he understood that writing offered clarity and continuity, a personal compass guiding him through transitions. He closed his notebook briefly, smiling, aware that the journey ahead was not about perfection, but presence, awareness, and the courage to keep growing. During an evening walk, Tom noticed a mural on a building corner, vivid colors, and intricate designs telling stories of the city's history. He approached, marveling at the details, imagining the artist's process. A passerby stopped beside him, commenting on the mural's beauty. They exchanged smiles and words, briefly sharing perspectives. Tom realized that art was a conversation, uniting strangers through shared observation and emotion. He continued along the street, taking in architectural details, streetlights flickering to life. Each interaction, each observation, became a thread connecting him to his surroundings. He felt attuned to the rhythm of the city, its stories, and its people. The experience reinforced the idea that transformation was both internal and external, a dialogue between self and world. Night settled gently, and he carried with him a sense of curiosity and openness, ready to embrace new perspectives. Tom arrived at a local theater for a community play, the stage alive with actors rehearsing lines under bright lights. He watched as expressions, movements, and timing created a story larger than individual performances. Conversations with fellow audience members revealed shared interpretations and insights. He marveled at the collaborative effort required to bring art to life, recognizing parallels with his own journey. Each scene reflected emotion, vulnerability, and resilience, resonating deeply. By intermission, Tom felt inspired, motivated to express himself more openly and embrace life fully. He realized that transformation was not a solitary pursuit. It thrived through engagement, creativity, and empathy. Applause erupted as a climactic scene unfolded, and he joined wholeheartedly, feeling part of something larger, woven into the fabric of shared human experience. Tom joined a city cleanup initiative early in the morning, sunlight just cresting the horizon. He carried a bag of recyclables, moving between volunteers with purpose. Conversations were light-hearted but meaningful, laughter blending with the sound of rustling leaves and footsteps on gravel. Each piece of trash collected felt symbolic, a small contribution to the city's health and beauty. He noticed a young teenager struggling to lift a heavy bag, and Tom stepped forward, offering assistance and encouragement. The teenager's grateful smile warmed him, reminding him that impact was often subtle yet profound. By mid-morning, the park looked renewed, paths swept, benches cleared, and flowers untouched. Tom felt a deep sense of accomplishment and belonging, realizing that fulfillment arose from engagement and service. He paused to drink water, gazing at the rising sun reflecting off a lake, and understood that his personal growth was intertwined with positive contributions to the world. Each moment reaffirmed his values, commitment, and ability to make a tangible difference. Later that morning, Tom visited a local school to speak about creativity and resilience. The classroom buzzed with curiosity as children listened, eager to share ideas. He recounted moments of struggle and lessons learned, emphasizing that mistakes were not failures but opportunities. Hands shot up with questions: how to overcome fear, how to find inspiration, how to pursue passions despite uncertainty. Tom answered thoughtfully, illustrating concepts with simple exercises in drawing and storytelling. Laughter and thoughtful expressions alternated as students experimented with colors and ideas. He noticed shy students quietly gaining confidence as they spoke, proud of their efforts. Observing the room, Tom realized that legacy was not only about achievements but also the influence one could have on others' growth. Each student represented potential, a future shaped by guidance, encouragement, and example. The experience filled him with energy and purpose, reinforcing his belief that sharing knowledge and empathy was a profound form of fulfillment. In the afternoon, Tom walked along a riverside promenade, observing families, joggers, and artists capturing scenes on canvas. He paused by a small wooden bench, reflecting on the interconnectedness of people's lives. Each passerby carried stories, dreams, and challenges, often invisible yet palpable in fleeting expressions. A street musician's violin filled the air with melancholy and hope, blending with birdsong and the gentle ripple of water. Tom closed his eyes briefly, absorbing the harmony of motion and sound. He realized that living fully required noticing, listening, and responding with presence and compassion. The sun dipped lower, casting warm light across buildings and water, highlighting details often overlooked. He felt gratitude for the city, for the people, and for moments of quiet observation. This walk became a meditation on life's rhythm, and Tom understood that legacy could emerge from everyday attentiveness, from small acts of mindfulness and empathy, enriching both self and community. As evening approached, Tom joined a community storytelling circle at a cozy library. Candles flickered on tables, casting warm light across eager faces. Participants shared experiences, struggles, and triumphs, each story unique yet universally resonant. Tom contributed, recounting his own journey of transformation, the lessons learned from mistakes, and the joy discovered through curiosity and persistence. Faces lit with smiles, nods, and laughter, creating an intimate and inclusive energy. Conversations continued even after stories concluded, questions and reflections flowing naturally. Tom realized that fulfillment was amplified by shared expression, that listening and narrating created bonds stronger than solitary achievement. By the circle's end, a sense of mutual appreciation enveloped the room. He felt grateful for the opportunity to inspire and be inspired, understanding that the smallest gesture, word, or story could ripple outward, leaving lasting influence and meaning. Night had fallen, and Tom stood on a hill overlooking the city, lights twinkling like stars reflected on earth. The cool breeze carried distant laughter, music, and the hum of life below. He reflected on the journey, the challenges, growth, creative exploration, and connections made along the way. Gratitude filled him, not just for accomplishments but for opportunities to touch lives, inspire others, and embrace his own evolving potential. He thought of the students, the volunteers, the artists, the friends, and strangers who had shaped his experiences. Tom felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that legacy was not measured by grandeur, but by the positive impact and shared joy one cultivated. The city pulsed beneath him, alive with possibilities, and he knew his journey of learning, contribution, and presence would continue. With a deep breath, he smiled, embracing the night and the infinite potential of tomorrow.